Hi, I'm Rumana, and in this presentation, we will learn what ELT stack is, its architecture, ELT stack relevance to data science, advantages and disadvantages, end-to-end use case of ELT stack. Let us start by understanding what ELK stack is. It is basically a combination of three open source tools which collectively forms together a log management tool. And this tool helps in deep searching, analyzing, and visualizing the log generated from different machines. Each letter in ELK stands for something. Now let us see what does the each letter in ELK is. E stands for Elasticsearch, and it is basically a log storage tool. L stands for Logstash, which is used to transport, process, and store the logs. And K stands for Kibana, a web-based visualization tool, which is usually hosted by Nginx or Apache. Before understanding each tool, let us have a look at the architecture of LStack. LStack architecture comprises of four components, which involves data logging, data processing, data storage, and finally visualizing the data. In the first stage, it is logs. Basically, here server logs that need to be analyzed are identified. Next, data processing is done in Logstash. Here the data is gathered, parsed, and also transformed. After processing the data, it has to be stored and indexed, and this is done by using Elasticsearch. Lastly, in Kibana, Elasticsearch DB is used to explore, visualize, and share the data. Later, an additional component was added to the ELK architecture that we discussed previously called beads. The main purpose of the beads was to do a data collection. Once this additional component was added to the ELK, it was renamed as Elastic Stack by Elastic. So by Elastic we mean the name of the company. So Beats you can think of as a shipper, basically a data shipper that gathers and transfers information from various devices and systems to the stack. By the stack we mean Logstash and Elasticsearch.
Hi, my name is Shivam, and I will talk about Elasticsearch. It is a modern search and analytics engine that is based on Apache Lucene. Elasticsearch stores information in an unplanned way, and until recent times, SQL could not be used to query the data. There are some basic concepts a person should be familiar with before start working with Elasticsearch. First is index. Elasticsearch indices are logical partitions of documents and can be compared to a database in the world of relational databases. One can have as many indices as they want, and every database has a unique index. Second, documents. Documents are JSON objects that are stored within an Elasticsearch index and are considered the base unit of storage. Third is mapping. It is defined as the fields for a specific type of document, the type of data, which can be anything, whether it is string or integer, as well as how the fields should be searchable and sequestered in Elasticsearch. Fourth is Boolean operators. There are main two types of operators that are used. One is and the other is not. On the left hand side, we can see a diagram which shows us the workflow of Elasticsearch. We can see that how the master node is connected to client node, and each client node and master node is connected to several data nodes. Now I will talk about Logstash. It began as an open source tool designed to stream large amounts of log data from multiple sources. It evolved into Stack's workhouse after being integrated, held to account for also having to process log messages, enhancing as well as massaging them, and afterwards transmitting them to specific addresses for storage, or stashing can be said to. Lost stash aggregates and practices events in three parts. First is collection, second is processing, and third is dispatching. A log stash adaptation to changing that defines the pipeline specifies which information is collected, how it is going to be processed, and where it is sent. Now I will talk about Kibana. Kibana is completely open source. It is a browser-based user interface that can be used to search, analyze, and visualize the data stored in Elasticsearch indices. It cannot be used in conjunction with other databases. Kibana is especially well known and popular due to its powerful graphical and visual analytics capabilities, which enables users to explore huge amounts of data. Moreover, using a wide variety of different charts and graphs, you can slice and dice your data any way you want. You can create your own custom visualizations with the help of Vega and Vega Lite. On the left hand side, we can see a diagram which shows how Kibana works. We can see we can create multiple graphs which can help us in visualizing our data.
Hi, this is Venkat Satyanarayana Reddy, Katarpalli. Today, I'm going to talk about relevance to data science. Here we have 7 different steps which are need to be discussed. Firstly, we have business understanding, asking relevant questions and defining objectives for the problems which are need to be tackled. Secondly, we have data mining. Here we gather and scrap the data which is necessary for the project. Thirdly, we have data cleaning. Here we fix the inconsistencies within the data and handling the missing values. Fourth, we have data exploration. In data exploration, we form hypotheses about our problem by visually analyzing the data, like EDA. For fifth, we have feature engineering. Here we select important features and construct more meaningful ones using the raw data which we have. Sixth, we have predictive modeling. Here we train machine learning models and evaluate their performance and use them to make predictions. And finally, we have data visualization. Here we communicate the findings with key stakeholders using plots and interactive visualizations. As we all know that ELT stack has recently become one of the most popular visualization system for large amounts of data. The ELK stack is also a flexible tool and has multiple use cases, not limited to big data, as this can be also in cloud computing. It shows that it is highly relevant to the data science, as this tool empowers like various processes of data science like data mining, data filtering, or we can say data cleaning, and lastly, one of the most important features of data science, that is data visualization. Majority of the time, data scientists are accustomed to using NoSQL database engines for routine activities, or even depending on intricate REST APIs for analysis. Here, Elastic, which is a company, made its first move in data science in 2017 when they introduced their first ML-capable extension pack for the ELK stack, enhancing its features with anomaly detection and other unsupervised machine learning. Regression and classification models were quickly added to the list of machine learning activities that were already included in ELK stack. ELAND, a brand new Python Elasticsearch client and a toolkit, which is potent and as also known as pandas-like APIs for analysis. ETL and machine learning was released by Elasticsearch. Without needing to have a thorough understanding of Elasticsearch and all of its nuances, ELAND enables data scientists to effectively exploit the already extensive Elasticsearch analysis and machine learning capabilities.
Hi, I'm Charita. In this slide, we'll be talking about the advantages of ELK stack. ELK stack is developed in Java, so it can be worked on almost all platforms. Elasticsearch is real time, which implies that recently introduced memorandum is discovered in the engine under 1 second. Even though Elasticsearch is distributed, it's indeed simple to scale and integrate to any large organization. Elasticsearch facilitates the creation of full backups, though through the use of its gateway concepts, and it's handling multi-tenancy is very easy in Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch uses JSON objects as responsive, which makes it possible to invoke the Elastic search server with a large number of different programming languages. ELK stack has its own disadvantages, and we'll get to know them in this slide. Elasticsearch does not have multi-language support in terms of handling requests. Elasticsearch has a problem with split brain situations in rare cases. It also has complex management requirements, and it is very expensive to operate. The most important challenge is that it takes like a lot of time to deploy it on the large scale.
Hello, my name is Rohan Bhatt, and today I'll be talking about the use cases of ELK Stack. So, ELK Stack has several use cases, but today we'll be talking about cloud computing only. So, before talking about an aspect of cloud computing and how ELK Stack helps in cloud computing, let's first talk about what all are the issues faced in cloud computing. So, cloud computing is nothing but a perspective or a collaboration of different softwares, and each software is connected parallelly with each other, and this way they perform all the various stuffs like analyzing the data, collecting the data, securing the data, and backup of a particular data. But as we have several different softwares connected, it becomes very difficult to do the processing and analyzing and even securing the data in a timely manner. It is also very difficult to collaborate all these stuffs in one go, and hence the chances of error increases many folds. Here comes the task of ELK stack with cloud computing. Now, as we all know that ELK stack comprises of beats and Elasticsearch, Logstash, and indexes. We're gonna talk about how each of this stuff helps us out in performing all the stuffs as we talked earlier, like analyzing the data and collecting the data. So over here we have Beats. Beats is nothing but a software or a group of software that helps to easily take in the data for our processing on it, and after taking the data we have the log stash. Log stash is nothing but a process of pre-processing the data sets which we have got from log stash, which we have got from beats. So when we go pre-processing, it compiles of all the feature engineering, everything like normalizing the data, putting standard scalar and everything, which is good for analyzing our stuff, or maybe cleaning the data, we can say filtering the data. Thereafter it is sent to Elasticsearch, which makes it easier to store the data and store the indexes. And afterward, at the end, we get to have Kibana software. Kibana dashboard and visualizations are really very helpful and very easy for pre-processing and for analyzing as well as pre-processing sometimes of our data set. Like we can see anomaly detection, problem solving, and security related issues all can be solved very easily with ELK stack. Now let's talk about our different slide, which is on we can say this. Just one second. Okay. Now let us talk about the consumer companies that are using ELK stacks. So we have several amount of companies that use ELK stack, but at this point we'll be only talking about the major companies that use ELK stacks like Netflix, Stack Overflow, and Essentials. So as we can see that Netflix is one of the prominent website or platform that enables to look for different movies. So we can imagine how much of data it would be having. So in this scenario, ELK stacks comes into play wherein we don't have to take several different aspects of data sets. We can just collect it very easily, then we can just very easily pre-process all those datasets and analyze it using Kibana software. On the other hand, let's go to another Stack Overflow company, which is Stack Overflow, as we all know, is one of the best companies when it comes to answering all of our questions, right? So we can imagine how many queries would be generated on the website of Stack Overflow. So to handle out all these queries and indexing out all these queries to be answered in a very efficient manner, Elasticsearch, which is one of the part of ELK stack, is used extensively on Stack Overflow, as its main issue is that it has better performances on SSD, and it mainly uses Lucene.net, which can handle any aspect of Java or maybe Python also. Lastly, over here we have Accenture. Accenture is an open source. It has simple web interface, and most importantly, the use of ELK by Accenture company is for plugins. Thank you. Let's go for another slide. So here are the references which we have taken into considerations, and all of these references talks about ELK stacks on a general perspective. Thanks. Lastly, I would like to thank you, Tim, for giving us this opportunity, and thanks to all of my team members who worked really very hard on making this PPT and presenting it out to you, sir. Thank you so much.